Hello, this is Yvonne Teoh Bource from Connect to Soul with your weekly soul wisdom for the week of June 4th. So I thought it was time to talk about how we start our days. Because how we start our day is how we are actually going to start our life. Because every morning when we wake up, it's the beginning of another day and it's the beginning of our life each time. So how do you start your day? Do you just, do you wake up with an alarm and you're like, okay, it's time to get up. I've got to rush. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do, all the do stuff. How do you wake up in the morning? What's your first thought in the morning? I've always said, what is your first thought in the morning? Because the first thought in the morning sets up your day. So if you wake up and you go, oh, not another day to go to work or whatever, then your whole day is going to be miserable. So it's really important for us to have a good look at how we can set up every morning of every day, and consequently how we then set up the whole of our life. It's that important. So I thought that I'd share with you today discussion about morning rituals. Every person that I know, every successful person, whatever success means to you, but every person who I have used as mentors, who are spiritual teachers, who are even successful in what they endeavor to do, they all have a certain way of starting the day. And for me, this has been probably something that I started over 30 years ago, and I still do it every day. And that is a regime of making sure that I'm okay. Before I get out of bed to do anything, to be of service, to in the early days, look after my children, whatever it is that is on my agenda to do. The first thing that I need to look at is that I'm okay, that I take myself into a place of alignment, of feeling good, because when I feel good, then the whole day will be ease and grace. It'll fall into place. But if I have thoughts that take me down in the spiral of frequency, as I call it, so I have a lower vibrational energy, then my day is not going to flow. So I had a look at some other, YouTube clips on this subject because it was interesting to me what other people do. I know what works for me, and I'll share with you what works for me, but I want to really say right from the beginning that it has to work for you. Following someone else's routine isn't going to necessarily fit in with your lifestyle, because we all have a different, thing to do with our life. So what's important is to find what suits you, what fits for you, and what most of importance works for you. Okay? So when I looked at these different YouTubes, what I realized, they were all about success and making money and how to be, first of all, they were all by men, saying how they jumped out of bed and they went and did this and they had workout, and I love Tony Robbins' one, right? So he leaps out of bed and leaps into a hot and a cold pool. Not my idea of a great way to start my day, because that's like shock therapy to me. So, but it works for him, right? Then he does his meditation and his spiritual stuff, and he takes at least, I think, 2 hours before he starts his day to set himself up. So he prepares what I call his equipment. Now, everyone that I follow, Oprah Winfrey, Deepak Chopra, I could make a whole list, they all have a morning ritual that suits them. But basically what it really means and what it aims to do is to set yourself up with an intent of having ease and grace of having a great day, of things being good for you, and to focus your energy where you want it to go. So one of the things that I started very early on my journey was to surrender, me, the persona, to surrender to the life force that is me every morning and say, hey, here I am. I'm here to be of service. How about you show me the way? Following spirit without hesitation. So doing that, and I always ask for the highest possibility for me and all concerned. So whatever happens through my day, I then have to look at it from the perspective of, well, that's obviously the highest possibility because that's what I intended this morning. And even if it's not exactly how I would like it to be, there has to be something in it for me to find to be the highest possibility. So how do we set up our day? I call it my hour of power. So I get up very early in the morning, and I don't have to, and I've often said that I live by myself nowadays, but in the early days, of course, when I had a family, I had my children to get to school, I got up at 4:30 in the morning to do what I needed to do. And in those days, I would write out all my affirmations, positive, of course, intentional affirmations, and that they were then followed by meditation. Because one of the things that I did recognize very early in the time is that we have to create some silent time first thing in the morning. Silent time. That means silencing the mind as well as silencing your environment. But we need to have silent time where we can be introspective, where we can just be with us, where we can either sit and just breathe. I like to listen to a particular mantra, and that keeps me focused. So find something that it's important to have a silent moment just with you before you start your day every day. There's something special about being peaceful and being quiet. We are such noisy critters. We're out there, we think we have to talk all the time, or we've got to make noise all the time, or we've got to listen to the radio or the news or the something or other. And it's in the silence that we learn, in the silence that we hear our inner voice. It's in the silence that we can find out who we truly are. But when we allow the outside clatter to constantly be infiltrating our brain, then it's very difficult to find that silence. And the silence of the mind is not that easy to do. So it takes practice. But it is really, really worthwhile. So have a look at what you do in the morning. How do you get up? What's the first thought that you have? I couldn't think of anything worse than to wake up every morning with an alarm. It's shock treatment. And it's unnecessary. I wake up exactly at the same time every morning because I ask my mind, or whatever that is, I ask it to actually to wake me up at a certain time. Funnily enough, my cats have actually got that message, so if I don't, they'll jump on top of me. It probably is also shock treatment, but it's not as rattling as a noise. The only time that I might, the only time that I just lost the plot completely. My mind just went AWOL for 1 second. The only time that I actually, use an alarm is when I have to catch a plane, for instance. But I always wake up before it goes off, and I never use an ordinary alarm. I use some very soft, gentle music for me to wake up to, because I'm very kind to me. So finding a ritual that suits you. But what's important to have in a ritual? Okay, I've already mentioned having silent time. It's really important to set an intent for your day. What do you want your day to be like and about? What do you want to experience in your day? Set your intent. If you don't, then you become a reactionary person to whatever turns up in your life. But if you set your intent, then life can do something for you. If you go into a shop and you don't tell the shopkeeper what you want, he'll serve someone else, because he can't serve you because you're not telling him what you want. You know, the universe is exactly the same. You have to put in your order, so have an intent for your day. My intent every day is ease and grace. My intent is to be of service. And my intent is also always to be kind to me. And, I used to not be kind to me, but now I am very kind to me. And that's my intent. My intent is to live with ease and with flow in my life, to live with health and abundance. I put all those things into my day before I started. That is my intent. And then that's what I experience. But if you don't set an intent, then don't be surprised if your life goes off the rails, because it hasn't got a driver. If you don't drive your life, your life can only do one thing. It can only go according to your past experiences. If your past experiences were wonderful and you want to keep repeating them, that's great. It's not great for growth, but it's still great. But if your past experiences weren't all that you would like it to be, then it's not so great. So set your intent. It's very important. Doing some meditation. Well, let's talk about meditation, because people talk a lot about you must meditate. I say, why? Now, I don't say that meditation isn't wonderful, but meditation needs to also have an intent. Why do you meditate? Have an intent about your meditation. Do you just want to quieten your mind? Do you want an answer to an issue or a question within that moment of meditation? Decide what you want to meditate for. Do you want to just sit and contemplate your navel, as they say? Have an intent for your meditation. No, don't just go into meditation for no reason. It's all about, it's your life. Take control of it in the way that you want to live it. So your morning ritual also has to have purpose, right? The other thing that I find that is really useful in a morning ritual is to have gratitude, obviously, right? It's so important. The first thing in the morning when I wake up is to say, I love you, and that's to me. And I am so grateful. I'm grateful to wake up. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have the opportunity for another day to explore this amazing journey. I'm grateful for the beautiful warm bed I'm waking up in. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the heater that just turned on. I'm grateful for my beautiful cats that are great company. I'm just grateful to be breathing. Grateful to have another go at living life to the best of my ability. And then to see what comes up. It's an exciting journey. But if I just stumbled out of bed and just, stubbed my toe and fell into the shower, and I don't take, I'm not participating consciously in that act, then of course, what do I expect? If I don't take control of my life, my mind has no option but to just repeat, and my subconscious has no option but to repeat all the yesterdays. So that's really what's so important about a morning ritual. It is taking time out for you to put you into a state consciously. That is how you want to experience life. In other words, if you want to have happiness, then create happiness within yourself before you start the day. Because remember, we are electromagnetic. So when you go out and you look happy and you feel happy and you radiate happiness, guess what happens? Everybody that you deal with will be happy back to you. But if you get up and you're a grumpy person, well, they'll be grumpy back, or they'll just avoid you altogether. So set your scene within yourself. Make sure that you are the way that you would be if everything was beautiful in your life. Because once you do that, then everything that is beautiful will come into your life. And if you are going to write, affirmative statements of intent and focus, then make sure that you do that also. Sit down and write a few statements of intent and focus. Now, I don't like using the word affirmations because people tend to think that an affirmation is always positive. But we are constantly affirming our life with all the statements that we make. Every word that we speak is affirming something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be uplifting. If I complain about something that I don't like, and I say it more than once, I'm affirming that. And all that can happen to me is that I'm going to experience more of what I don't like. So they have to be uplifting, focused, intentional statements that are going to take you where you want to go. So make some of those. Have some really, strong statements of intent. I do believe that morning rituals actually start the night before. And the night before needs to be when you do a gratitude journal. I never go to bed without doing a gratitude journal. It doesn't matter how few things that I put in it, but I write it. Now, a lot of people say to me, oh yes, I think it in my mind. But our heads are full of a lot of stuff. So, what I do is I write it. And it may just be a few statements, right? Doesn't matter. One of the statements I make every night is, I am grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for this amazing physical body that allows me to experience life. I'm grateful for the smallest things, I'm always grateful for my family, my children, on garbage collection day. I'm grateful for the people that collect my waste. It's just simple things, the food in my fridge, the availability to all the abundance around me. Those are the things that I'm incredibly grateful for. And that might be the same thing every night, but it doesn't matter. Because the last thought that you have before you go to sleep is the first thought you'll wake up with. So if you go to sleep thinking, oh, I mustn't forget to do this, and I mustn't forget to do that, and I mustn't forget to do something else, you will wake up and the first thing you'll hear, I mustn't forget to do this, and I mustn't forget to do that. So what I do before I go to bed, even before I do the gratitude journal, I make a list. I make a list of the things that I would like to do the next day. Life maintenance things. And I make that list so that it doesn't have to clutter my mind. And then I go to bed so I don't have to think about those things. And then I do my gratitude journal. Now, I have a bit of a strange thing that I do. I have a bit of a addiction, I suppose you'd call it. I have an addiction to doing Sudoku. I do about 2 or 3 puzzles before I go to sleep. And the reason I do that is to break the mind chatter. So when I do those puzzles, it stops my mind from doing what the usual mind does and go over what was the day like and, that kind of stuff. So those puzzles just take me right out of that kind of tram line. And then I go to sleep. But then, before I go to sleep, and now I can give you this gift. So I go to put my head on the pillow and I say, I ask my body to rest, to rejuvenate, to energize, to revitalize, to balance and to heal anything that is not feeling great whilst I sleep. And then I asked my mental body to turn off because I don't need it while I'm sleeping. I asked my emotional body to turn off because I don't need it while I'm sleeping. And then I set my soul, my spirit free and say, well, go do what you need to do, but make sure you return, and so that we can get on with this life and continue to do what we came here to do. And I intend to wake up feeling refreshed and revitalized and rejuvenated and ready to start another day. And that's how I go to sleep every night. So that's also how I wake up every morning. So the morning ritual and starts the evening ritual just walks you into the morning ritual for the next day. I'd like you to really think about what would fit for you, because everybody has an individual pattern of life. Yes, you might need to get up and feed the dogs. You might have to go and race horses. Whatever it is that you have to do. But I don't care how early you're supposed to get up. You've got to find, before you set off for your day or your shift. Let's say that you do shift work, because I used to when I was nursing many years ago. So let's say that you've got an afternoon shift, so therefore you're sleeping in the morning and you get up later. Still take that time before you start that workload. Take that time to have a ritual. Plan your day. Get up half an hour early. You don't have to do what I do. I get up at 5:30 every morning. I make a cup of tea, and then I go back to bed, and with my cup of tea, and I do my meditation, I do my gratitude, I do the statements of intent, I do, and that's when I do my learning. I like to learn something every morning, so I will seek some additional information that I want to learn about. And I don't actually get out of bed until about 8 o'clock. So I do all that in bed, and that fits my life at the present time. It definitely wouldn't fit most of you people's lives, but it fits mine. So I want you to find somehow a time before you start your day that is purely yours. Give yourself that time. Spend it with you and set your intent and really focus on, this is my day. This is the first day of the rest of my life. And I intend to live it. And then you go, and how do you intend to live it? Set it up. It's your day, your life. Don't fritter it away by just leaping out of bed and doing and forgetting to be. I do hope this is something that you will think about, and if you start something like that, a morning ritual for you, I can promise you it's life-changing. It really is life-changing. I've been doing it now for so long that no matter where I go, when I'm on holidays, when I was in Bali for the retreat, I was up at 5 o'clock. I was getting my cup of tea, I was sitting down, and I was getting the instrument ready for teaching. If I don't do that, then, my personal agendas could get in the way. But I don't have personal agendas, because whatever they might be, they're all being looked at and resolved and whatever in the early mornings, in my time. So I do hope this has been helpful, and it's given you some thoughts about how you can start your days from now on. It's really important. So I did pick a card earlier from a deck called Energy. I haven't used these for a while, but by Sandra Ann Taylor, and I really like her cards, even though I haven't used them for a while. And I got a beautiful card and very appropriate. Magician in the Mirror. Remember that whatever you send out is reflected back to you. So if you start a morning ritual that supports who you want to be and how you want your life to be, it will be reflected in your life through the day. And I looked it up in the book to see, because these give you an affirmation to go with that. And it says, I have all the power I need to create the destiny I desire. And we do. The trouble is, most of the time, we're too busy to use it consciously. So by setting a morning ritual in place, you are actually creating it consciously. Magic happens when I live in consciousness and my eternal truth. Magic will happen when you start a ritual for you every day, every morning. Connect to soul, and you'll see beautiful things. So that's my message for this week. Leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for the people that do. And have a wonderful week, not because it is a hopeful wish, but because you're going to start a morning ritual which is going to set your days up and therefore your week up. And then you can tell me all about it. So I say farewell till next week, and love yourself. I love you. As I always say, love yourself more. You are all you've got. Take care of you and just be kind to you. Have a great week.